Is this on?
It's on now, and I tried to unpause you, and while Dave was trying to unpause you, so what happened is one of us unpaused you, and the other muted you, rather, not paused.
I was about to say, turn my headphones up.
Right.
All right. Welcome, folks, to another 60 minutes of unscripted .NET entertainment. This is another episode of the .NET Doc Show. As doctors of .NET, we prescribe healthy choices for .NET development in the year 2020. I'm your host, Scott Addy, and with me today are my co-hosts, David Pine and Cam Soper. I'd like to welcome our guest for today. We have with us Bruno Capuano, and I hope I didn't do too bad pronouncing that. I'd also like to point out that Bruno's office is filled with many leather-bound books and also Microsoft MVP plaques. Bruno, why don't you introduce yourself to the folks who are watching?
Yeah, sure. So thank you very much. Hello from Canada, from the Great White North. It's not white yet, but winter is coming. Bruno Capuano here. I've been an MVP for over 10 years. In the last couple of years, I've been an MVP in the AI category. And my main excuse is to use AI to hack these little devices like a drone to do some fun stuff. And hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. And one small correction to what I said earlier, we also have co-host Cecil Phillip with us today. Say hi to everyone, Cecil.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Bruno. How you doing, man?
Hey, how are you?
Good, doing well.
Shout out to Cecil, because I know he's battling a hurricane right now down in Florida.
Yeah, my backyard is flooded. My front yard is flooded. I can't drive anywhere. But all that being said, it's actually pretty bright and sunny right now, so it's not so bad. So I'm hoping no more rain comes, and eventually, all like the roads and the lakes and stuff like that would kind of, start to recede a little bit, and I could actually leave my house and go to the grocery store or something. But as of right now, we're just at home, kind of waiting it out.
Awesome. Yeah, we were a bit concerned. We had Cam as a backup. We're like, we don't know, because we know that the tropical storm was there, and we were concerned. So we're happy to have you.
Yeah, I think it started at around, at least in my area, it started at around, I want to say 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. But around 9 o'clock is probably the worst. Everywhere was flooded. And Florida is low to the water table, right? So which pretty much means that if you dig, in my area, if you dig like 6 or 7 feet down into the ground, you're going to hit water, right? Wow. Which also means it's super hard to drain, right? So when the water comes, where's it going to go, right? It's like water is going to meet water, and so we're just going to get flooded kind of thing. So, but yeah, it got really bad at around 9 o'clock. I think I posted a video earlier last night on Twitter or something like that, showing what the water looks like. But it hasn't rained yet since around 9 o'clock this morning. So again, I'm hoping things are going to get better.
So let's hope that Cecil's office doesn't turn into a kiddie pool during the show today. Why don't we roll into the checkup segment and see what we've got to share today?
So today we've got the Quickstart on how to use the Face client library. And I just wanted to call attention to the fact that at Microsoft, we pride ourselves on naming things. So when you think of Face client library, hopefully you think Azure Cognitive Services Face API, because that's what this really is. It's a client library that wraps that, and it's in .NET, so you get C#. So what this allows you to do is essentially detect faces in an image or find similar faces. You can create groups of people. And again, just based on identifying a face within an image, whether or not it's a still image or from a stream, you can take a stream and then take little snapshots of those images and then process those as individual images. And it's a very powerful mechanism to leverage, artificial intelligence. So this Quickstart kind of walks through how you go about getting an Azure subscription, creating the resource, how to do so with, tie in with the IDE. So in this case, Visual Studio or the CLI. and you just basically create a C# application. You pull in the NuGet package, and then you're off to the races using the namespaces, which in this case are a bit verbose for my liking, but hey, it is what it is. And once you've got your subscription and resource, you have your subscription key and your endpoint. And then from that, you can authenticate and get an face client. And then you can use that to do all of these different operations that I mentioned. So I wanted to call attention to this doc for one observation that I made before the show when I was kind of looking at it. This is really a call to the community. Because one thing that we really, really enjoy is the developer community because they're so engaging. In this particular case, there's code examples that could use a bit of attention, a little bit of love. There's opportunities to improve the readability of this code. There's opportunities to make this a little bit more consumer friendly for those who are not really familiar with .NET or C#. There's opportunities to use newer language features that aren't necessarily being fully utilized here. So like if we get down to a little bit of lower, see there's opportunities for like switch expressions or even switch statements, right? You don't have to get super fancy. But there's opportunities to make this doc and the consumption of this library a little bit more palatable. So if you're interested in helping contribute in that way, up at the top, there's an edit button, and then you can, contribute. It takes you to GitHub and then basically that markdown file and then edit and go from there. So that's our Quickstart doc for today. We're going to have a lot more discussion with the Face API specifically once Bruno goes and we talk about the hallway track.
And real quick, before we transition off to the hallway track, I would like to call out a couple of things. I guess you could call these announcements, and I will scroll these across the bottom of the screen here. So if you direct your attention to the bottom of the screen, be aware that right now the .NET team is running what we call the .NET Learn Challenge, which uses Microsoft Learn. This is your opportunity to earn bragging rights and complete as many .NET-focused Learn modules as possible. We actually have a leaderboard out there so you can see how you stack up against your teammates. The other thing that I will draw your attention to is tomorrow kicks off .NET Conf 2020. And this is really 3 days worth of community and Microsoft-driven sessions focused on .NET. The other thing that this marks is actually the release of .NET 5. .NET 5 will officially ship tomorrow at this event. So be sure to check out those two resources there. And let's kick off the hallway track and have some discussion with Bruno.
So I just wanted to call attention to the fact that Bruno has been an MVP, which is, so Microsoft has this recognition program, and what they do is they'll recognize contributors that are not, Microsoft employees, but people from the community. And they recognize them for community engagements, things where they'll write blog posts or share videos or create content in some sort of way or be a leader in their area. And he's been an MVP longer than I've been developing software. So thank you for all of your amazing contributions.
Hey, it's a pleasure. The best way to describe this for me is I never done this for the MVP. I am doing this kind of thing because I like it. So it's very, very nice to have this award giving you back because you're doing stuff that you like.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point. So someone who has been a member of the MVP program, David, you as well, I think both of us can agree with Bruno here that, becoming an MVP isn't necessarily a goal. It's you earn that award by doing things that you enjoy and sharing your knowledge with the community. This just happens to be something that comes along to thank you for that work you're putting in for the developer community.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I can also add to that too. So I've never been an MVP. I think I'm the only one in this panel right now that hasn't been an MVP before. But I have worked with a lot of different MVPs from different parts of the world. And there's MVPs for different areas of focus, right? And I would just tell everyone, kind of like what Bruno was saying, just find something that you like, find something that you're passionate about, right? Like, don't do it for the award, and just do it because it's something that you generally care about and something that you really want to put effort into.
Yep, I agree 100%. So I admit I had posted sort of a clickbaity title for this show on social media, and it was something about writing 20 lines of code to add face detection capabilities to a drone. What I hope we can do in this show is, sort of put more context around that. Is it really only 20 lines of code? Let's kick it over to Bruno and start that discussion.
So yes, I'm going to be jumping in and out from the slides. It's not 20. Let me start my presentation here. So it's not 20. It's probably going to be a little more. But let me tell you. Let me start at the beginning. And I always start with this. I'm sorry. My demos, my code, and my jokes are very, very wife, and she's very successful. But this is what you're going to find. This is what you're going to get. So nobody gets, oh, I will pick up this code and use it in production. Don't do that. Really, don't do that. And how do I get here? As I said, I work in Havana, lead innovation. I've been an MVP. And let me go directly to a couple of jokes about Among Us. This is a longer session. Another one, don't use my code. This is just for demos. But let me show you where we are. So back, I think it was on December, I was talking with a friend here, and he told me about this drone, the DJI Tello drone, the one that you see on the screen. And this drone is a toy. This is basically a toy. But I also see somewhere there that there was a couple of, and this is very cheap. It's cheap. It's not expensive. It's $100. And I see that there are people who are basically accessing and using this drone, and they can program this drone. And this was kids using Scratch. Scratch is a very drag and drop programming tool. So I was thinking, hey, this is a crappy drone. It's not $1,000 drone where you have your official SDKs. There's your solving there. It's also have a decent camera in the front, 10-minute battery flight, a Wi-Fi antenna in the middle, hosted there. So with this, I started to see, okay, there should be an SDK somewhere there. And I started to find an SDK. There is no SDK. There is no official SDK for this drone. But somewhere deep in the internet, when you start to look, you find this document. And this document is magic. This document is basically the entrance door of what you can do, because the document explains, once you connect to the drone, when you start the drone, it's going to be a Wi-Fi spot. Once you connect to the drone, you are going to be able to connect to 3 UDP sockets, UDP ports, and you are going to you can start to interact with the drone. So you can start to send commands, or you can start to read information from the drone, and there is a specific port for the camera. So, hey, that was amazing. So I was starting to think, okay, what we can do. And I don't know if you ever work with UDP, but UDP is hell. UDP, the last time that I did something with UDP was 10 years ago or something like this. And it's basically, it's not the great experience, but hey, I started to see I can do something, and let's figure out how I can do and how we can interact with the drone. How can I start to build the stuff? So I need to figure out a way to do this. And because I am connecting to the drone via my wireless connection, because you need to connect via wireless, what I have right now is this connection here. I am using my work/gaming PC here, connected via network cable to the internet for sharing this. And from time to time, you are going to see me connecting to the drone. And how do I connect to the drone? Let me show you, because you are going to see this a lot. So I have here Windows Terminal, and I will put Windows Terminal somewhere here. I will start a ping. Also, I will start the ping to the drone all the time, and I will turn on the drone. The drone have a LED here, and after a couple of seconds, when the drone is starting, I will use a command here to connect to the drone. I mean, right now I can see the drone here in my wireless connection. It should appear here like Tello something. There it is, Tello 589327. I don't want to automatically connect. I don't want to Windows automatically connect to the drone. So what I did is I tried to figure out a way to, okay, I need to do this manually. I send a command, an SASH command, and I am connected to the drone. And you can see in the bottom right corner, the drone is giving me back connection. So right now, if I go again to my networks, I'm connecting to the internet and I am connected to the drone. So this is step number one. But I am going to leave this here because, again, this drone is a toy. So it gets disconnected, it gets flashed. It's happened a lot of stuff. It's not a professional one. So every time I lose connection, you're going to see me back here trying to get connection to the drone.
So Bruno, can I interrupt
Yes.
real quick with a question? So this seems very, very similar to how someone getting into IoT might connect to like an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi. And the difference being, you know, those devices will often have, you know, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and all of those capabilities, but they don't fly. So your drone is already one leg up on them.
Yes, and that's another. This flies. I hope it flies with the command that I send. I hope it do what I want, but it's kind of a flying Raspberry Pi. Little more light than that, but yes, you can think of this as a device. You open a couple of ports, you connect, and there it is. You're going to start to interact.
Awesome.
And this was the next question. I will switch slides here. I will talk about this. Is how do I do this? How do I open a port? How do I create a socket? And how do I kind of this kind of things? I have the PDF with the specification. It's not a technical document, but it's somewhere there. So I realized that, hey, I can go to Visual Studio. I can go back here and start to write something like, I don't know. I will define a couple of variables here. And again, crappy code, just testing code. But I know my drone IP, and I know that they have two main ports. One port to send commands, and in the other port, I will open a socket and read information from the drone. The battery status, the inclination of the drone, the time of flight. I can read a couple of information from there. Once I have this stuff defined, hey, let's create a UDP connection. And this is where you start to play with fire, because I don't know if you ever play with UDP, but you need to be very careful about blocking the socket and doing it. It works at the end with a couple of tricks, but then show you the process so we all understand what we are doing. So I create one UDP client for the commands. This is the one in 8889. And what I do is I create an IDP, I create an endpoint, and then connect. That's it. From here, I can start to do something like command and port, command UDP client, punto, send, and I can start to send a byte of arrays with data. So at this moment, I can start to interact with the drone, which is kind of great. But there is some stuff here that I need to figure out how to do. So next step, how do I send information? This is what Dive does show. Basically, I have a piece of text. The stuff that I am going to send to the drone is basically commands. The commands are defined in this PDF, and they are very, very simple. Let me go back here to the PDF. This is the document. And here are the commands that you can send. You have command. This is the first that you need to send in order to the drone understand that you are in SDK mode, in something that is not official. Then you have takeoff. The drone will fly, land, and then you have one to stream to enable or disable the camera. You have up and X in centimeter, up 10, it will fly 10 centimeter up, down, left, flip. Very simple commands, and the way to do this is just pick up the string, get a byte from the string, and send it to the client.
That's amazing. So basically what you're doing here, let me recap this real quick. So you're basically codifying all of the communications over the socket connection here. So you're looking at the manual, using the manual, saying these are the verbatim commands that it will accept. You're codifying them and then executing it in C# to send those commands, right?
Yes, and it's not the issue. The main problem that you find here is that there is no, because it's UDP, there is no way to know if the commands are right or not to the drone. And also, the drone will give you this back. Possible response, you have, okay. So, it's nice. It's a challenge. So I like to face this challenge because you need to figure out a way to solve this. I don't know in English if this is a good way to describe this, but you are doing defensive programming. You need to be aware everything that you are doing to do not break your app. So, but yes, that's right. Once you know what to send, you open the client, the client, and send the command. And the same to read the commands. In order to read the commands, what you do is I create a new client in the other port. I have another port to read the state from the client. And what I do is I read the state. And how do I read the state? I have an array of bytes, and I will do a receive of this. And then I will translate the receive to the string, and I will show the string. It's 30 lines here, not 20, sorry about that. But with these amazing lines, you have your drone information, IP and ports. You open 2 UDP clients to send commands and to read commands, and then you can start to read information from the drone. So with this, let me show you how this works, because this is the moment that I will go back to my drone. As you can see, bottom left is disconnected, so I need to get back here, turn it on, wait a couple of seconds, and start the connection. In the meantime, let me use this as a startup project. Another command, and as soon as I am connected there. Let's do this step by step. So I have the drone here, by the way. This is the less exciting demo ever that you are going to see, because it's just connecting. I am starting. I hope I didn't forget anything. I think it's fine. So there it is, starting the project. Let's debug this step by step very fast. So I am connecting to the drone. There it is. I have my UDP client connecting to the drone. That's it. And I am going to send a command. I don't have any kind of feedback here. I don't know what is happening here. And I am going to try to read information from the drone right now. So I read information. I have my array of bytes with information here. And I read information. This is all I have. I convert this to string. This is important. We will talk about this later. And I show this in the console. So once I show this in the console, this is the info that I get back from the drone. Let me zoom this a little, not so much. There it is. I have inclination, or basically position information. I have the pitch, the roll, and the yaw, which is basically how the drone is flying. I have somewhere here the temperature. I have 2 variables here, the temperature low and high. I don't know why they give me 2, but hey, it's also nice to have the low and high in 93 Fahrenheit. Then I have the battery. The battery here at 92%, so it's good enough. I have other batteries just in case. And then I have the barometer, the time of flight, it's not flying, so, and other extra information. Again, it's all described here in the SDK. I can go somewhere here. Here I have all of the information about what I have here, the mission path, the pitch, roll and roll, the temperature low and temperature high. This is a 10-page document which gives us the sense of what we can do. But as you can see, with 30 lines, not 20, sorry about that. My math are not very good. I am connecting to the drone. I am sending the command. I am reading information for the drone. This is not exciting at all, but it's the first step. This is what you can do. My idea here at this moment was, hey, I can start to do something like get the battery value. So I know that I have a full string with all of the values. I will split this. I will, again, crappy code here, but you get the idea. And what is nice?
So we do have a question from a friend in chat here. Why would you send specific commands for things like turning and moving the drone? Because obviously you can't codify something that's dynamic. You never actually know where the drone is in a particular space.
Yes, that's a good one. So and that's the problem with UDP. You can create your own flight, because once you understand this, you can in your mind you can easily get how you can grab all of this and create a good SDK, and you have something like drone, fly, drone, move left, drone, go up, or create a flight plan, and your flight plan will be, I don't know, a JSON file with all of these steps. Mm-hmm. How do you know if the drone is doing this or not?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I mean, we got another question here. I was thinking to myself that I just keep jumping way ahead of probably things you're planning on showing, but I was thinking about codifying this even more too, to the point where, like, imagine a Xamarin app running .NET and then being able to control that, right? If you're able to pull the status and have all of that information about its current pitch and roll and where it's at, and its X and Y and all those different coordinates, and you're able to get that information. Imagine putting a little user interface on that connects to it and then lets you say up, down, left, right, wherever, and literally controlling it, and maybe having access to the camera stream so that you have a mobile app that leverages all the power of this, connectivity. It's not really a toy anymore. Now it's a product.
That's kind of a deal. And you are right. One of the ways that we did this when I started, because full disclaimer here, I did this the first time in Python. Because I did a lot of Python for machine learning. This was my challenge to learn sockets, multi-threading, and other stuff. And I created also a model there that if the drone is if the drone is flying and you move the drone, you need to face some changes in your X, Y, in your axis of the drone, so that you can check how it's moved. The drone also have a sensor in the bottom, which is going to give you how far it's flying. So you can also use that, but yes, you can create some kind of secondary element to validate if it's really doing what you are expecting. And as you say, even when we access to the camera, and I'm going to show this later, there is a point that you can find that, hey, I know that the drone is moving because I access into the camera. I can analyze what is happening there. We have all of this spatial amazing stuff there to work with this. So yes, you can, just with these 10 lines, for me, the work is done. I already inspired someone, you, to get the idea of what we can do.
This is so exciting. Like, I want to get one of these so bad now. It's like so much better than just like your regular Raspberry Pi demo that turns a light on. Like, this thing is amazing. I want one.
I'm honestly on Amazon right now, like looking up how can I order this and how soon can it come to my house.
I will share the link later if you want. And as I said, depending on the dates or whatever, it's $100, maybe more, maybe less, but it's not $1,000 drone. Because if you go to the DJI page and you access to the SDK for other drones, this is professional drones. Some of them, depending on where you live, you can't even fly them because you need a kind of a driver license. You need a pilot's drone license. Right. This is a toy, so to play around is good enough. And also here in my office, I have plenty of electronics. So the signal, the Wi-Fi signal gets some cropped sometimes. But in the outside, you get 20 meters. Sorry, not speaking feet, but you get between 15 and 20 meters of decent signal to work with the drone. And hey, it's something else that you can do.
That's awesome.
And it looks like I can get this by Wednesday. So,
even with a hurricane, he's got
even with a hurricane, I might be able to pull it off. So let's see what happens. Should be able to get this by Wednesday.
I love it.
So when I get to this point, what I face is that this is great, but in example, if I want to show this, I want to make, I don't know, a long, very long loop here, showing the drone information. This is, again, crappy code. I don't want to make this full screen. Let me put it like this. I can create a loop here to 200 and do a pull all the time to get information from the drone. And this will work great because if I start to move the drone, I will see how the axes are changing. But this is when you face UDP. This is, at this moment, let me connect the drone again. I will start to get blocking thread. I will start to get disconnected UDPs or whatever. So I want to show you the error because I write a lot of code, of communication codes in the past. I don't want to do this anymore. So I will start to figure out who else did that. And I found a couple of UDPs wrappers, which work very, very good. So at this moment, if I run this, I am connected to the drone. And if I run this and I start to move the drone around, we are going to have a couple of, I don't even get the first one. I get this stop there, and I will get a timeout message. If I don't define the timeout, I need to specifically go here and define for each one of the clients. I need to say, okay, UDP client, send timeout. Client, send timeout. Okay, if I send a command, I want to have a 1 second timeout. And to receive information, I want to have. So I would start to play around with a lot of receive timeout. I don't know. Also 1 second. So I will start to play around with a lot of code and how do I do this and how do I do that. By the way, I am cheating here because when I do the step-by-step, I give time to the .NET code and the drone to make the communication, to put everything together. But this is what, when you are starting to run this in real time, so I get the response, I put it here. So you can see here that I did 1, 2, 3, I don't know, maybe 10 of these, 20, I don't know how many they are, but then I face this connection stuff. So this is the moment that this is not drone anymore, this is not .NET anymore, this is learning a little about UDP and try to figure out what we can use here. So there is a lot of UDP clients available there, and I find one which I really, really like, which is this simple UDP. It's a package that you can download and you can use, and I really like this. It's also very, very well maintained, very well documented. It's created, it has basically a feature which a single UDP client can be a server and a client at the same time. So I make a couple of tweaks here, and I create my own version here, which allows me to create something which is a little more nice to use and to use here. So an example, let me show to another demo where I use this client, and I will add this dependency here. I have it at local, simple UDP, there it is. And what I am going to do is I am going to have this. We don't have time. I am not going to code this from scratch. Let me show you this one here. So what I am doing here, I am creating an MVP endpoint from this client that we have. And again, I have here my IP and my 2 ports, 88, 89, and 88, 90. And then I have a couple of events here. I know that I send information, I can send the command, I can receive information for the drone. So this UDP endpoint is kind of very simple to do. I can send and receive. I also have the async. And then I do the same for the UDP endpoint to receive values, and I receive information. But because it's working in async mode, I am not going to receive everything here. I have these events here to show what I am receiving. And this is the way to do this. And this is an amazing way to do this. And this will work if I am not connected. If I am not disconnected, I can go here, run this one, and I am going to start to show this. And if I am moving the drone, it's freaking fast. You are not seeing this, but the first values here are changing. So I receive the pitch, the roll, and the X, and everything is changing here. Even the barometer is changing. And hey, I can start to interact with the drone here because as you said before, I can send command and I can see if the drone is moving, up or down, how the accelerometer is doing. And as you said, this is a Raspberry Pi with a couple of sensors here, which is nice to have the accelerometer. It's nice to have the camera, the position. And
so I just wanted to say,
nice to do this.
I wanted to interject here real quick and just call attention to the fact that this demo is really highlighting some of the benefits of open source technologies, where you have this open source project, simple UDP, that you're able to consume, and it solves so many of the problems that you had if you were trying to do it by hand yourself, rather than doing trial and error and handling socket errors or timeouts or configuration or all these different things, right? Rather than worrying about that, use this open source project library. And then once you're doing so, then you can actually focus on the behaviors that you're trying to code and build out. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So and again, you just nailed it. I didn't need all of the features that I have here. I only tweaked the one that I need to the drone, but they already created everything here. I didn't need to think about the blocking states, the event, because there are several steps here to send the command and receive information. It's already here, and for me, it's just send the command like a drone, start here, and start receiving information. It's very, very easy, and kudos to the team behind Simple UDP, to the people here, because This is great. I am not going to fork and submit my code here because my scenario is very, I am not going to do a pull request with, hey, add this to support a crappy drone. But this is an amazing project to do also UDP. And also it's very, very well documented, very well written. I really, really like this one.
Nice.
So this is stage 2. This is, okay, we access to the drone. We are here. We can connect to the drone. And then we have the big challenge, which is, let me show you here. Let's go here, SDK, which is the camera, which is how you access to the camera. And we have a port in the camera. The port is 11,111. And also, again, UDP. So I start to see, okay, what we can do. So I testing around, I using VLC to try to connect to the drone. Didn't work. Then I found the FFmpeg, which seems to be very popular in the audio and video world to do this. So you can create and connect this. And it's great. It has some delays here. You can see here in the animation, the top camera and the drone camera. So we have a couple of seconds of delay. But in the back, I did a lot of stuff with OpenCV. And OpenCV is amazing. And the best thing about OpenCV is that out of the box, OpenCV, when you are creating an example, a camera demo, this is a camera demo. You create, this is OpenCV code. I am using a .NET version. I am not going to talk about OpenCV. That's 5-hour talk about one of the greatest libraries to manage images that we have available. But again, lucky enough, we have a team that created a wrapper for .NET, which is called, there are several of these. This is the one that I like, OpenCV#4. And the way that I can write, in example, an application to access the camera is that I will create a video capture element. Then I will create a window. This is a window. And then I will start to run in an eternal loop. Again, sorry for the crappy code. This is just for demos. Do not use this at production. And I will say, camera, give me your latest frame, and I will show the frame. That's it. And what I have here is when I create the video capture, I have several different inputs that I have. And because I have one camera, the one that we are using with the streaming right now, I have a second camera here. But if I run this, set a startup. Yes, if I run this, 5 seconds or 2 seconds, I don't know. I hope the index is fine. It will open the second camera. Every time that reboot Windows, it's changing the index. So maybe it's the different one. This is the moment to start to play around with the cameras to find which is one. Let me try with 2.
Is it using your camera right now?
It's using another one. I have 2 USB cameras. So I think it's number 2. Let's see if it's here.
And while you're pulling that up, yeah, there was a question.
Real quick. We do have a question. I wondered the same. Does all of this that you're showing us assume that drone is within Wi-Fi range?
Yes, you connect to the drone. There is the other camera. Okay. So, oh my God, this is the crappy one. This is not a good one. 20 lines to show the camera. And yes, you connect to the drone via Wi-Fi. So there is no Bluetooth, nothing here. And remember, this is a toy. This is not a professional drone. The battery here is a 10 minute, this is very small. This is a 10 minute battery. Connecting via Wi-Fi, maybe I'm sure that there are better drones here, but it is nice to learn and do these kind of things. But yes, it's all Wi-Fi. So you also need to double check that if you are connected or not. Right now, an example, I am not connected. I'm sorry. Where's this?
So then the next question that leads me to is what happens when that Wi-Fi connection drops? Are we looking at a potential accident here where the drone could just crash into something?
Yes. So in example, when I get the drone on December, I think it was, there was an issue in the software that they have that you send the command, in example, go up. And if it gets disconnected there, the drone will go up for forever. And then you need to start to run behind the drone until you get it. Yes, there is no safe whatever process here for the drone. It's just a toy, so you need to think about this. Of course, I won't suggest to use this to use this drone for any commercial or whatever application. It's just a toy to learn how to do this kind of thing. But hey, maybe you can use it like this. But if you get disconnected, go fast to connect again to the drone.
And I have another question too. I want to ask you, Bruno. So the camera you're connecting to is not the drone camera. You have another camera, another peripheral that you connect to the drone. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes. So I just showed these lines of code to show how you use OpenCV to connect to the camera. But the magic of OpenCV is that I can come back here, and instead of connecting to camera number 1, which is internally I have a lot of cameras, so this is the one, I can go here and say, you know what, OpenCV, connect to UDP / my IP.
Got it.
And that's my code. It will automatically connect to the drone. It will get the frames from the drone. And I can start to do my magic here because I already have an image. So what we talk about detecting faces, using community services, creating your own model with custom vision, it's all available here once you get to the image. And
I wanted to ask a question real quick about that. So does this imply that if anyone is on your Wi-Fi, like imagine I'm on your guest Wi-Fi and I have some code that's running that might connect to that IP address, I can just connect to your camera? There's like no security boundaries?
Yes, there are no security. And the Wi-Fi that you are connected is the one for the drone. So everybody can connect to the drone. It's just turn on the drone. So yes, it's turned on. So everybody in my house right now, myself and my kids, we are going to be able to see the drone here available. And you have the chance to add a password here. I didn't want to add a password to make this simple, but everybody can connect to the drone and everybody can start to do whatever they want.
Awesome, thank you.
So
it seems like if you could figure out that resiliency aspect where if the Wi-Fi connection is cut, you fall back to something else to keep it in flight, you could really build a solid business model on top of this technology. This could be the next DoorDash, drone based, of course.
Yeah,
that's what our good friend.
I think what would be cool is if you could put code on the drone, right? So if the code issue could connect to something, a daemon that's on the drone, then you could kind of, you could tweak the resiliency a little bit, right? So now you could kind of make that a little bit more customized versus just sending texts over UDP, right?
Yeah, and polling status. I was thinking the same thing, having some sort of way to deploy something that is, a reactive model that looks at things, evaluates it, and like kind of makes decisions based on itself.
Right.
Yes.
So I think then if that happens, then we could think about that problem you're talking about before with the drone kind of just going off. Then if you could push code to it that's persistent on the drone, then you could build in like a fail safe to say, okay, you're not connected to the Wi-Fi anymore, stop flying.
Right.
Or go backwards or something.
Or go back to a zone where you had Wi-Fi before, like because those coordinates, right? Like
exactly.
So yes, that's all of that's what we expect for the drone. And every time that they have this, I want to do this with IoT Edge or whatever. I remember this is a $100 drones. It's a toy, and it is what it is. But yes, there are other ones that you can deploy. There are other DJI drones, but they are in the $2,000 or more that you can deploy on your own models. You have Docker there, so you can add this intelligence to the drone. So as you say, if the drone gets far away, I don't know where is Bruno. I will go back to the last Bruno known's location to try to connect back or something like this. This is not for this.
For that, yeah. I think that's what a toy drone for me, like the best toy drone for me would be one that's like, I don't want to like tweak propellers and like play with the engine. Like I want to put code in it. Like that's where my head works the best. You know what I mean? And so if you said, hey, this is just a Raspberry Pi device with stuff on it, you know what I mean? Like someone put the stuff on it and I'll put the code in it, right? And that'll be how I add value to like that situation. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
Would that be a droneless Pi? Sticking with the serverless theme.
Come on now.
I don't want to think about the hardware. That's what I heard. So this would be a droneless Pi.
Exactly.
It's
I don't
really
want to think about the hardware.
it's a serverless Pi.
Exactly.
So we've got about 15 minutes left. I'm curious, and I know that you've got this amazing demo that you're waiting towards the end. I want to make sure that you have enough time though to pull it off.
Yeah, so let's review a little how a camera application demo will work. And remember, as you said, there is no code in the drone. All of the code is in my machine interacting with the drone. This is just a big sensor sending information. So I have my UDP commands, I have everything. Once I start the interaction with the drone, I send the command, and this is important, start the streaming. So I will start the streaming. I have my UDP address here, IP port, UDP port, and I will use OpenCV to do a video capture. So that's it. Once I have this, I will open my video capture. I will force here, there is a long topic. We don't have time here to talk about how we get here, how you do both stuff. But with this, what I am going to do, I am going to create an eternal loop showing the drone camera. So if I go back here, let me start this one, so I start up, and start the drone again. This is the ABC playing with this. You need to go back every time to start the drone, to start to get IP from the drone. And at this moment, if I start my application, you're going to see I have the drone in front of me, and I have some output there, and the camera should be somewhere here. There is the drone camera. The main issue that I have here with the drone camera is that I have a 20-second delay, or 15 or 20-second delay between what I am doing with the drone right now and the camera. And when I started to see how to fix this, it basically drove me crazy. I didn't spend a lot of time trying to see what we can do. I already dropped the drone, still here with the camera, but this is the camera feed. So what I realized, and let me show you here what I found, is that I download the OpenCV code, the OpenCV shard code. This is a couple of C++, so that's my excuse to go back also to C++ with the C# wrapper on top. I start to see what's happening, how it works, yada, yada, yada. Couldn't find it. It's all about interrupt calls between C, DLL, and C#. So I will think a lot what is happening here, how in Python it works, the OpenCV, and in C# it didn't work. So what I realized is that I went to see my Python DLLs, what is happening, and I saw that Python is using an older version. This is the Python. Oh, sorry. Why I didn't start my pen? This is the Python DLL that is being using to process frames, and this is the one that I'm using right now in .NET. So Python is using OpenCV FMPG 4.4, and we are using 4.5. So I make a couple of tweaks. This is not great, but I have a different version of this. We use previous version, the 4.4, and I can access the camera, and I can have this sense of, hey, this is what is happening. This is kind of real time. So the next challenge was, let's detect faces. How do you detect faces? And detecting faces with OpenCV, bear detecting faces, it's super easy. You use a technique from the early 2000s. This is a 20 years old technique to detect faces, which is basically load up a cascade classifier. This is machine learning. You can invite Luis or Seth Juarez or these amazing people. They can talk a lot here. But I will load this classifier, which is kind of a model trying to detect faces. And then when I am analyzing my frames from my camera, this is the eternal loop, I will say, hey, face, cascade, pick up the frame and show me the faces. If you find any face, I will have an array of numbers, which is going to be the boundaries of the frame, top left and bottom right, and I can draw a face here. So this is, let me change here. I can't remember, we are using 2 or I think it's 1. This is the way that you can do this. And this is the moment that we can start to think, okay, how do I do this? I pick up a frame from a camera, and I am going to use my USB camera. I pick up a frame from a camera. You can see there how it's working. It's so bad this camera, but there it is, my friend. I can send each one of the images to community services to analyze the frame and maybe to try to recognize person. I can download the container, the face container community services to use it locally to avoid these send images, but it's just 10 lines of code. It's just once you have the image from the camera, you use this cascade to detect your faces, and it will recognize 1 to 10. There is also a couple of things here that we need to figure out. I have this one with the face cascade. The face cascade is not very one. It's good to test, but it's not the best. If you need to go to the best, use community services, download any of the trained models that you have here. So an example, this one is using a DNN model, trained. It's available, I can't remember, in one of the Microsoft, the Azure Machine Learning documents. In one of the tutorials, you train this model to recognize faces. Oh, sorry, I need to change the camera index from 1 to this one, to camera index to 1. And at this moment, what we are going to have here is the faces cascade detection and which letter I use to switch. And I add some code here in the bottom with F. And this is the Fay DNN. This is using the trained model. This is much more better. If you take a look here, if I turn my head like this, there is no more face there, but the DNN recognized. It also works great with other type of scenarios, like don't get in the wrong way. But these models were trained in the here, so they don't work great with Asian people or with different ethnics. So we need to go for these models that work great. And this is the moment that Face API, the one that you didn't like the name, it's great. This is the one that works really, really great. But again, I have a frame here from the camera. And with this frame, I can do anything else that I want. So an example, let me show you this, but running in the drone. Let me show you how the drone can recognize faces. Let's start up this one. Let's go here, and the drone is disconnected. I know that we have some time, so I want to just show faces recognition, but this is going to do the same code, picking up the frames, analyzing the frames, and showing the frames there. Once I am connected to the drone, there it is. I start this one.
So are you just holding the drone, or is it actively flying? And
I am holding the drone in my hand in front of me right now, and there is my face there. And the issue that I have right now is the drone is, I have this delay. It will take a couple of seconds to fix the delay because I think I didn't switch back to the previous one. But you can see there, I don't know if the green frame is good enough to see, but that's my frame catching up to the drone.
That's amazing. I mean, there's just so much involved in this demo that I just applaud you for making it work, because there's so many potential points of failure. Like one, our internet connection, StreamYards, you pushing stuff up, and then then also all the code that's running there, the multiple terminals. Like, this is intense. It's amazing.
Yes, and again, I know that we are at the end of time, so this is the Q&A moment. The last one that I do, if you want. This is the demo that is connect to the drone and send flying. And let me start that project. Let me put the drone somewhere there. Sorry about the camera, but I run this, and at any moment while I'm connected, I can go here and
I was going to say, let's hope for some stable Wi-Fi, or that wall of
Skynet was attacking you.
Yes, the drone is still here. I hope it flies, but that's why I leave the flying drone to the end, and I am just sending takeoff, land, flip, up, down. It's a fun way to learn how to do things.
That's so cool.
That is awesome, man. And Bruno, I was thinking too, as you're kind of going through your demo and your code, you mentioned it was a little bit more than 30 lines. And if you use those top level C# statements that is in .NET 5, you can get rid of like a lot of that stuff in there. So technically, You didn't lie to us. You're still probably within like that 20 line range of code.
I was so tempted to do this in .NET Core 5 to also learn .NET Core 5, but I will also see that, okay, but if I share this later and people don't load this, they're probably going to have a hard time. So yes, maybe after tomorrow, I upgrade this to .NET Core 5 and I make a simple, I like your idea. Original 20 lines, new one 10, or something like this.
So there's lots of people that have been asking, and I've been looking on the internets here and looking at your GitHub repo. People want to see this code. They want to see it. They want to try it out. Do you have any additional resources that you could share with the world?
Yeah, so I will share the slides. I have a lot of stuff here, the full demo with custom vision. So let me go to this one. So I will share the slides so people know where to get the drone, where to get the SDK. I have all of the drone. I have a 20 or more posts about programming the drone in Python. I need to start this also in C# right now, but everything is here. And I will share the code here in my GitHub. Later, as soon as we finish, it's my github.com and Bruno, that's me, and probably put this in one of my repos, the events one. In the bottom here, this is all of the events I participate. Somewhere here, I will add the C# demos that we have on the slide so everybody can start to play around. And remember, you only need .NET Core 3, a crappy drone, and that's basically it. Play around with this, and I'm sorry about the crappy demos. The code, this is not the best code that you can do.
No. Those were not crappy. Those were awesome, man.
Yeah, if you think that's crappy code, you haven't seen mine. I was going to ask one more thing for folks who are in the chat. There's been a lot of interest in your Windows terminal instance that you're using. Is there a particular theme that you're using in there?
No, I use two stuff here to do this, and you probably already talked about this, I see. I have Power Toys here, so I created a custom layout so I can do my demos. I have these areas here, so if I go to the fancy zones, I have 3 main areas that I created, and I have one of these specifically for drone demos, where I have 2 small areas, in the left, top and right, to use this, and the main demo area. And the terminal is just a terminal where I'm using my company logo in the back, but nothing else here. I have other Anaconda and Python stuff here, but this is just PowerShell 7, I think. Yes, 7.0.3. And that's basically it. And I have the ping in the bottom. I may want to use a better nice looking ping, but that's basically it. Nothing fancy here.
I think it looks pretty good, personally. I think your desktop and your setup looks really nice.
I agree. I'm super jealous. Mine's a mess. I'm not going to share it.
Icons everywhere.
Oh, this has been awesome. Thank you so much, Bruno. We got a couple minutes left, so if there's any last minute questions, feel free to throw them in chat here. Otherwise, is there any other things you'd like to share, Bruno?
No, probably my next one, if we are on time for later, is I created a thermal camera with the Raspberry Pi and a thermal camera. Docker containers, kind of nice. And my next challenge will be, okay, because it was Python, most of the code, let's migrate this to .NET Core. And I will probably use this as the excuse to learn the new stuff on .NET Core 5. Yeah. So, hey, we maybe have a teaser for the next one.
Absolutely. And what better way to promote yourself for the next one than say, hey, look at this amazing thing just before the end of this show. That's so cool.
I think I hear our resident IoT expert, Cam Stoker, kicking and screaming to join and ask some questions.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cam, we can't hear you. And I see you talking.
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Should we add Cam to the stream real quick?
Yeah, let's do it. Bring him
Cam's
in.
on.
Too late. You're here.
I know you got something. This is
my ears were burning, but I'm sure we'll catch up with Bruno later. Bruno, we're going to have you on the show again. It's not a question.
Hey, I'm happy to help, and I like to share this experience, this learning experience. That you play with something fun and you learn a lot.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Always a pleasure. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and see you next week.
Okay, goodbye, everyone.